Have you ever noticed that two people can work equally hard, yet one becomes stronger while the other slowly falls apart? One becomes calmer, more capable, more resilient, and the other becomes exhausted, irritable, cynical, and eventually starts believing, maybe I'm just lazy? But what if neither person worked harder than the other? What if the real difference wasn't effort, but what their brain believed the situation meant to them? Because your brain responds to the meaning, not just the task itself. Let me tell you the fact about the brain from the scientific standpoint. Your brain doesn't see all hard work the same way. It separates struggle from suffering. Let me tell you how. Healthy struggle rewires you for growth. On the other hand, suffering rewires you for the survival. Unless you recognize where that invisible line is, you can spend years pushing your limits and unconsciously believing it as discipline instead of burnout. But you know what? Real discipline helps you perform consistently, but the burnout slowly takes that ability away. Welcome. I'm Adil Jivani, a psychologist, emotional intelligence master coach and trainer. I work with individuals through one-on-one confidential sessions and with the groups through workshops in person in Abu Dhabi and online worldwide. This channel, Tranquility Pursuit Coaching, is built on one belief: that real performance in life and work starts with a strong mental and emotional foundation, because when that's in place, everything else follows. Struggle is the meaning of life. The best quote I have ever heard. Could you guess who said that? Comment below if you know. So struggle is the meaning of life. That means every meaningful life requires struggle, such as learning, building a business, raising children, healing after loss, training your body. None of this happen without discomfort. But here's the catch. Struggle and suffering are not the same experience. Struggle has a purpose. It stretches you, then allows you to recover. Whereas on suffering is what happens when the stress never ends and when recovery disappears and your nervous system begins treating everyday life like an emergency. The tragedy is that most people don't notice the moment when the struggle has become the suffering. So what changes inside the brain? The answer begins with a tiny structure no larger than an almond, the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's smoke detector. A smoke detector isn't designed to tell you what is burning. It's only designed to recognize the danger. Our brain is built for struggle. That is when a challenge feels meaningful, temporary, and within our ability to cope. The amygdala doesn't stay on high alert, but when that same challenge is perceived as overwhelming, inescapable, or without relief, struggle becomes suffering. And the amygdala, like a smoke detector of the brain, responds as if you are in danger and keeping that alarm switched on continuously, and that is what we call it chronic stress. Now, if we think, what are the danger of current human life which keeps this alarm on continuously? The danger aren't wild animals anymore. They are emails, deadlines, family responsibilities, financial uncertainties, and years without genuine rest. At first, stress feels energizing. You become focused, determined, alert, and this happens because of one chemical called cortisol, a body's hormone, which helps as a source of energy to stay alert in responding to temporary stress. And that's what we call it healthy stress. But now this is important to understand, that every stress response is supposed to have an ending. When the ending never comes with the continuous alarm on, that is, if the stress is elevated for too long, cortisol starts becoming a slow form of damage, as in disturbing sleep, increasing inflammation, weakening your immunity, affecting both physical and mental health, which we call burnout or suffering. Your brain shifts from how do I grow to how do I survive. You know what happens next? Once the brain enters survival mode, it begins energy saving mode, meaning it will refuse to take the tasks which consume huge amount of energy, such as difficult conversations are being postponed, what we call procrastination. Creative work feels impossible. Decision becomes exhausting. Motivation disappears. This isn't because you have become lazy. It's because survival brain don't optimize for achievement. They optimize for protection. The avoidance isn't the disease. It's one of the symptoms. And now the real question kicks in. Where does healthy struggle end and suffering begins? And once you recognize the difference, how do you remain in the growth zone instead of getting trapped in the cycle of suffering? I'm going to give you 3 R's framework. Recognize, recover, re-engage. The first is recognize. Ask yourself, is this challenge making me stronger or simply keeping me exhausted? Believe me, most people never stop to ask. Second is recover. Remember this, recovery is not the opposite of productivity. Recovery is the part of productivity. Sleep, movement, quiet, connection, reflection. Moments where your nervous system experiences safety again and help you grow. For example, lifting weights, the muscles don't grow while you are lifting, they grow while recovering. Your brain works the same way. So recovery isn't luxury nor the sign of weakness. Rather, it is the biological signal that tells the brain the threat is over. The third, that is re-engage. Don't wait until you feel motivated. Return through small meaningful actions. One conversation, one page, one workout, one difficult email. Why? Because every completed action becomes the evidence that the challenge is manageable rather than dangerous. Over the time, you will realize that your brain is getting upgraded in its prediction and the struggle becomes growth again instead of suffering. Let me know in the comments, how do these topics resonate with you? I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.